Marketing automation is a key to growing your business. In any organization, there are tasks and workloads that are manual and don't have to be. The thing is, when we spend time working on the things that could be automated, we leave and sacrifice the opportunities to work on the high value work that only we can do. In this video, I'm going to unpack why it's so important to automate within your organization. I'm Justin Thang. I believe that the right systems can help us grow wealthy, stay healthy, and have and enjoy richer relationships. If you like this topic or other topics like it, be sure to hit the like button below, then hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you can be notified every time that I post. Now, we're going to get straight into it, and I'm going to share my screen in just a second. But I wanted to get one thing clear. If I say the word leads, and you're a B2C company, a lead for you is somebody who is in your database or is converted onto your newsletter, but hasn't yet become a customer. They are still a lead. If you're a B2B company, then you already know what a lead is. Now stay until the very end because I have some worksheets that I'll be using throughout this video, and I'll show you where to download those and work it through yourself so that you can start implementing immediately. Are you ready for this? I am. Let's get into it.
I am super excited to be taking you through automation and switching on automation because I know that it is a game changer when done well. And without further ado, let's talk about why automation is so important. To start with, we need to kind of explore what happens when you're not using automation and leveraging technology in your marketing. Obviously, the first thing is that if it's not automated, it's manual. So there are a ton of tasks in your business right now that are manual tasks. And the thing is, when it comes to digital marketing and well, anything digital at the moment, uh, it's designed and engineered to be process driven, automated. If you were to think about tasks that are done by a worker, a human being, the flow of tasks you would call a workflow, okay? And workflows are meant to be turned into automation wherever possible, because otherwise you're pushing the car, you're pushing the machine that is actually supposed to be driven, okay? So obviously the question then arises, well, what should be automated and what should be manual? And we'll get into that in a second, but suffice to say that if you are manually doing things that should or could be automated, you're going to experience some level of tiredness and burnout, okay? Or if not that, then loss of passion because, you know, nobody likes grunt work. The second thing that you'll experience is lost opportunity because this is the era of disruption. If you are not leveraging technology and using automation, you can be sure that your competitors will if they are not already. Automation allows you to scale and to communicate at scale to millions and millions of people and also nurture those people, which I'll get into later, and develop conversations with those people at scale. And I mentioned nurture. If you think about moving strangers into leads into opportunities, opportunities into sales into revenue, there needs to be a process that allows you to nurture people through that pathway. Okay. If you think about sales and marketing, it's all one revenue pathway. Therefore, anyone who comes in at the doorway needs to be able to be nurtured en masse into closing into revenue and sales. And of course, if you're not doing this, you're losing pace. The reality is now that anyone who is leveraging automation is going to win because they are moving at a much faster pace and reaching far more people in a more personalized way than you ever could if you didn't use automation. So let's talk about what automation does. Let me tell you a little bit of a story. In a village somewhere, okay, imagine a village. There's maybe 15, 16 households, and each household every morning goes down to the river and they get the water that they're going to need for the day. So they go to the river with their bucket, they fill it, they trudge back up the hill, and that's their water for the day. Day in, day out, this is the way the village works. Households will go down in the morning, fill up a bucket of water, trudge back up the hill carrying their bucket, and there's your bucket. Now, in this village, there's a particularly entrepreneurial lady, and this woman sees an opportunity. She realizes that if she and her son go down to the river with a pole and two buckets on either end of a pole each, they in one trip could bring back 4 buckets of water, and they could save people the trip and sell the water at the top of the hill in the marketplace. So they do this, they put it into action, they walk down the hill, they pick up the water in their 4 buckets, they bring it back up, they sell the buckets, they do it again, and so on and so forth. Very soon they have a very profitable business. Here's the thing, they start to get really tired. They start to kind of not look forward to trudging up and down that hill all day, every day. That's the first problem. The second problem they encounter is that there is a big developer from the big city that comes in, has seen the exact same problem, but has responded with technology. They realize, well, we'll just install a water pump and we'll pump the water, push it up through a pipeline and into the village. Now, they do this, they build a pipeline, and guess what? Now, the entrepreneurial woman and her son can no longer compete with this pipeline because it is cheaper, faster, and produces more water than they ever could. And that's precisely what automation does. It allows you to scale your pipeline. Now, we're obviously not talking about water. If you would think about what uh, the flow is in your business for revenue, it is certainly strangers to leads or traffic to leads, leads to opportunities or deals into customers, and customers equal revenue. That's your pipeline. So if you think about your pipeline currently, is it leaking or dripping? Are there drips coming out the end of it, or is it a flood? Whatever the case is, you want to be able to scale your pipeline and fill it. And that is what's going to produce the greatest amount of health in your business. The other thing that it allows you to do is save time and effort. I want to show you a video. And this video is, I hope, is going to be a picture of automation that you never, ever forget. And what it is, it's a comparison of how pit crews in the F1 used to change tires back in the 1940s versus how pit crews in 2013, and we're way beyond 2013 now, but just as a contrast, with the right tools and with the right technology, what that looks like in terms of changing tires. Here we go. First, I'll show you the 1940s.
But Holland comes in for a pit stop. Time to refuel and change tires. Lou Moore himself changes the tires. Only 4 crew members, including the driver, are allowed to work on the car. It's a tense time. Holland stays in his seat, anxious to get away. Let's watch.
Money. You can hear the cars just and this is probably, gold standard change time back then.
The tires are changed at last. A crewman polishes the windshield as Holland moves away just 67 seconds after he stopped.
Now let's take a look at 2013 in Melbourne. Isn't the difference just exponentially faster? It's not 2x, 3x, 4x. It is just exponentially more efficient. And I want you to imagine each of those men and women in the red suits in the pit crew are like the automated workflows in your business. When a lead comes in, that's the car coming in, all these workflows go into action and prepares the lead for the next step in the journey. Now, I've already explained what workflows means, but I'll just do it again so you understand, so that I'm sure that you understand it. A workflow simply means a string of tasks that form one piece of activity or work. An example of a workflow could be a manual workflow is I get an email from a stranger from the website saying, "Can I get more information about your business, please?" I then respond by searching for a PDF. I attach it to my email. I write the email. I check who sent it, add a little bit of personal touch, and offer a chance to have a further conversation, and I send the email back. That is a workflow. Now, an automated version of that looks exactly the same, except there's no human being to do it. So it saves time and effort. And the other thing that it does is it captures the 85%. Now, what is the 85%, I hear you ask? There was a research study done on offline and online shops and businesses. And what they found was that even though people who would buy and wouldn't buy are roughly 50-50, the non-buyers and the buyers are 50-50. If you zoom in to the 100% of the people who did buy in a space of 0 to 36 months, what you found was that only 15% of the people who ended up making a purchase did so immediately. So only 15% of all buyers in a 3-year period were ready to buy straight away. The other 85%, and this is across the board, remember, we're not talking about one business here, we're talking about a research study done on multiple businesses, that people would not buy straight away, but sometime in the next 24 to 36 months would make their purchase. So think about what that means in your business. If you haven't got automation, the current revenue that you have, the current sales that you are making, is only 15% of the potential revenue that you could be having if you automate it. Because the other 85% will purchase within the next 24 to 36 months, which means you need to stay in front of mind with that audience and engage them and remind them that when they are ready, you are here. Otherwise, they'll forget, they'll go to a competitor, or somebody else will become front of mind in that 24 to 36 month window. So the point I'm trying to make is that we want to be able to capture the 85% in your business. Now, do you remember those pianos that had that braille piece of paper? I know it's not called braille, but it's basically, it tells the piano what to play, even though there's no human being playing it. And it sounds like a human being is playing it, or close enough. And the keys just move by themselves because it is predetermined by that sheet. Now, it's the same in your business with automation. You will be able to personalize it and create quite well-crafted communication and new revenue without ever lifting a finger. So the thinking is you actually work hard once, you build that little paper roll, you work hard once, and then thereafter, the machine just does its thing. And you're creating revenue and new opportunities, developing leads, nurturing people 24/7 and while you're sleeping without ever lifting a finger. So how do you know what tasks can be automated? Well, let's look at this, right? In your business and in your marketing, you have tasks that are external facing, that face your customers, and you have tasks that are internal facing, things that your internal team need to follow up on and do. Okay, it might be internal communication, it might be project management, but external tasks are, for customers, prospects, and leads. Now, on this axis, you have tasks that are automated and tasks that are manual. Now, there are some tasks that can't be automated, and that's okay. But there are tasks that can be automated that are currently manual. So if you are doing a whole bunch of internal manual tasks, there's a limit, there is an upper limit to how much time you can spend on it. Therefore, your team certainly has a cap, at least in time cap, if not skills cap. Uh, there is a cap to the amount of manual work that can be done. Now, if you look at the external tasks, communicating with customers, personalizing, finding the right offer for the right person, that might all be well and good when the business is small. But when the business scales and you start talking in the hundreds, thousands, millions, you're going to notice that something forms. And those gaps, because your team can't be everywhere at once. When the business grows, it inevitably will form gaps. So let's go back to your internal tasks for a second, right? What happens if you automate some of those manual tasks? Well, what happens is your internal team is able to delegate to the machine and elevate their jobs, and they become more overseers. Therefore, the machine will, and I'm calling it a machine to be fun, but what I'm really talking about is the automation. The automated workflows will do a task and either notify your team that the task is about to be done or notify your team that the task has been done. If something happens in the business, the automation will notify your internal team that this thing has happened. So, what's it really doing? It's giving them a little nudge and letting them know, tapping them on the shoulder and saying, pay attention to this. So what happens is the automation is just tapping your team on the shoulder. It's just a little notification because your team will then be able to quality control and make sure that the automation is doing the job it needs to be done while it's doing it at scale. So the concept here is tap. Automation should tap your team on the shoulder and tell them when something's about to occur, something has occurred, or when it has finished completing a task. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're running a sales team, tap has a nice double meaning because you're turning on the tap for leads. So when you're automating your leads, your sales team can turn, literally, it's like turning on a tap and they're just getting this constant flow of leads coming into them, which they can develop. And if you're not a B2B company and you're thinking to yourself, I don't have leads, you do have opportunities. Opportunities from visitors that are engaging with your business. For example, if you have an e-commerce store, those opportunities are represented by traffic who are having a little mosey at your store, looking at what you offer. So an automated workflow would be able to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, we should do something about people visiting this particular page, for example. Now, let's look at external. If you have manual tasks that you automate over into the external space, what you're actually looking at is, I know you're thinking it will rhyme with tap, cap, and gap, and you're right. There is a tool called Zapier, and Zapier is an automation task for marketers. It actually does a whole bunch of other things, but essentially, the reason why they called it Zapier is because it uses a term that us automators like to call zaps. These are quick tasks. Now, you don't need to use Zapier as your automation tool. You can use any tool you wish. For example, I use HubSpot. HubSpot does my social media, emails, it does my prospecting, it links in my ads, it does all that stuff, and it automates a whole ton of it. It does both the taps and the zaps. Okay, so just a concept there where you can start looking at your manual tasks and decide what you're going to move over into the automated realm. So let's stop there for a second. Which part of this, of what we've covered so far has stood out to you the most? What has really grabbed your attention and struck you as an opportunity waiting to be maximized? Have you noticed that you've got too many manual tasks, or that you're losing opportunities, you've got no nurture, or that you're losing pace with the competition? Maybe it was scaling your pipeline or saving time and effort and how much it can actually save you? Was it the 85% of nurture, or was it the fact that you can create new revenue without lifting a finger? Or was it something to do with the gap, cap, taps, and zaps? Take a moment there and just make a note of one internal task and one external task that you could automate.
Awesome. Well, that concludes the first part of this series. Now, if you want to find out more about what kinds of automation workflows you can put into your business, be sure to watch the next video in the series, part 2, where we'll be covering a list of automated workflows that you can implement straight away. As always, if you enjoyed this and you found this helpful, please help us by clicking the like button. Also subscribe so that you can get more valuable content like this in the future, and also the bell notification so you can be notified whenever we post. I'm Justin Theng. I'll see you next time.